All right, what is up today, guys? So, freezing cold, not a lot of fishing going on, but always got fishing on the brain. So, I'm gonna work on pouring a little bit of lead today, and I'm gonna show you guys how I do that and just give you some tips and stuff. So, here we go. If you guys are tagging along for this video, make sure you stick around, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because the next step of this process is going to be powder coating. So we're going to powder coat all these jig heads and we're going to tie them into bucktails. So hit that subscribe button if you want to catch that. All right, so the first part of this is you got to find lead. You can use old lead pipes. You can use, a lot of people use wheel weights. That's what we're going to be using today. And if you got any friends that are mechanics, maybe they can save you wheel weights. Now I will say most of your new weights are no longer lead. Most of them are going to be steel or zinc. So you're going to need to sort out a bucket of wheel weights, and you really need to make sure that you know which ones are which, because you do not want zinc or steel mixed in with your lead. It usually floats to the top because it weighs less than lead. So once you melt your lead down, it should float to the top, but be on the safe side. Watch some other videos on how to determine which is which. I'll give you a couple pointers here real quick, but if you got any questions, you know, there's tons of videos out there how to identify which ones are lead. All right, so one easy method is the drop method. They noticeably make a different sound. So this one right here is not lead. You hear that? And it bounces. It just seems light. This one here is lead. And it just kind of hits, makes a deeper thud, and it doesn't really bounce. So yeah, it just kind of sticks to the ground when it hits. So this one is going to be your lead. This one is actually, this one's zinc. So toss all your zinc ones off to the side. They're also lighter, is a way to tell. All right, the second way to test is you can do a cut test. So take a pair of snips. Just try to cut into it. And this one, you'll notice you can cut right through it. Clearly, lead is much softer, so that's going to tell you that's lead. All right, so I'm nowhere near done. Got a ton of lead here. A bunch more in here. But this will be enough to get started. So these are all just different pieces of lead. Some are wheel weights, some are just scraps left over from like a strap weight from a duck decoy. Any old lead sinkers that the swivel pops off of, you can use. We're going to take these, we're going to take them over here, and we're going to place them in our Lee melting pot. So this is a Lee melting pot. This thing gets up to about 900 degrees, and it is perfect for this kind of thing. This is exactly what it's made for. This is the Pro 4-20, which the 20 stands for 20 pounds. You can do 20 pounds of lead in this thing at a time. Heats up very quickly and melts this lead down in no time. All right, so you'll notice that all wheel weights have these little clips on them. Don't be concerned about those. Those are steel, and they will actually float to the top once the lead melts, because lead is so much more dense. So just chuck all your lead in here. You definitely don't want to overfill it, but you'll be surprised how quickly this thing actually loads up here. All right, you can see we got this thing slam full of lead. We're just going to let this cook down. We've got it on 6. That tends to work really well. You do not have to crank this thing all the way up to high. We'll give it about, I don't know, 5 minutes, and this stuff should be melted all the way down. One very important thing to mention is you do not want to breathe these fumes, especially if you're using wheel weights. You've got all kinds of dirty chemicals, brake dust, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you have plenty of ventilation when you're doing this. You do not want to breathe this stuff in. I usually just walk away from it until it melts down. All right, so how do we get the lead in the shape that we're looking for? Good question. So you can see I've already made some here. These are fish head jigs. Got some egg weights, bunch of jig heads, and just some traditional bottom sinkers. The way you get your shape is by using a mold. So this is a really old mold. But you can see And it's got the shape of what we're going to be making. So this one's your number 4 sinkers. Matches on both sides. And all you do is just pour it in right there in the top. Easy peasy. So for like egg weights, you know, you got this little copper poker here. And basically what this does is you slide this in the back right here. And if you look, when you open it up, boom, that's what puts your hole through the middle of your weight. So you have to have the slide inside of it before you pour it, or you'll just have a bunch of round eggs of lead with no hole in the middle. All right, so while we're waiting, we're going to be loading these things up with our hooks, getting them ready. So this one right here uses a 5/0 hook, a 4/0 hook, a 3/0 hook, and a 2/0 hook for different size jig heads for the fish head mold. All you want to do is balance these things in here. This one's kind of tricky, so I might not get it on first try. We're going to try. I think we did. And there you have it. You can see the hook sticking out the bottom. Right there. And we're just going to pour right in through the top there. This is a pretty cool round ball jig. Round ball weights that you don't really see in the store a lot, but I like to use them a lot, especially for like flounder and stuff like that for the Carolina rigs. And so you're going to preset your little loops, your eye loops into it before you pour it. And then we're going to close this puppy up as well, and that one's ready to go. All right, so as you see, this stuff is slowly melting down. That one big chunk in the middle there is actually a muffin tin of pure lead, so that one's going to take a while to melt down a little more. But make sure you have a safe working area. You want to use glasses, goggles, respirator if you're going to sit around these fumes, all that good stuff. Take the safety precautions. Lead poisoning is no joke. You definitely don't want to breathe this stuff in. You know, you're handling a lot of it, so make sure you use the safety precautions necessary to make sure you don't, you know, get yourself in a predicament with using lead. All right, so you can see our lead has melted down. It's been about 5 minutes. See all that in there? We're just gonna, and lead comes off of things really easy. So you can see I just tapped it right off of that spoon. You get on the spoon, literally just tap it right back off. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna scoop all this junk floating in the top out. This is called your dross. This is all your clips and impurities that have floated to the top. All right, so we're gonna scoop all this stuff out. And you don't want to get the stuff on you. It's common sense, but the stuff's about 600 degrees right now, so take your time. Make sure you don't get this stuff on you. It will ruin your day. All right, so now that we've skimmed off most of the junk on the top, you see that? Got nice clean lead in there. This is where you add, traditionally people use fluxing compound. And what this does is it just brings all the impurities to the top. Now a cheap trick instead of that is if you have sawdust. That's all you need. Because sawdust is going to burn when you put it in here, turning to carbon, which in turn will make everything stick to it and float to the top. So you'll see this stuff start to really smoke. Give it a stir. You actually see it start to smolder in there. And then once that burns up, give it a good stir, and all the impurities should stick to it. You should be good to go. All right, so you can see we got all our wheel weights out now. Easy peasy. Now time to pour some lead. Take your mold, place it underneath. And we're just gonna lift the handle and fill. That's all there is to it. There's no rocket science to this stuff. And just fill them up, let them cool down. We'll knock them out the mold. There you go. Just like that. All right, one more time, just so you guys get a better view here. Line your hole up. We're just gonna lift this lever. Move on down. All right, there you have it, filled up. All right, so moment of truth. Crack this puppy open, and there you have it. Number 4 sinkers. And some fish head jigs. And some cannonball weights. All right, so there you go. We got a pile of number 4s, a bunch of jig heads, 1/4 ounce. I use those for trout and red drum all the time, so I pour those. A bunch of fish head jigs, a bunch of egg weights, and a bunch of cannonball weights. All that took me about, I'd say, an hour's worth of my time. Well worth it. If you know somebody that can get you access to lead, start saving it, because this stuff goes a long ways and it saves you a boatload of money in fishing season.